Well, Reign of Jafar has pretty much all been revealed, and with that being said, it is gonna be interesting because it feels like now that these cards are finally here, we can start deck testing, we can start seeing what is coming next. It feels like a lot of these cards are gonna be sending waves through the meta. So let's go ahead and dive in and see what cards are gonna be sending waves and what you can expect when Reign of Jafar releases on May 30th. All of that and more starting right now. And I mean, there's going to be some really scary cards out there. I mean, first and foremost, I am worried about Chernadogs right now. I mean, they got the lady, they got the tramp, and they got the whole heaps of madness that can absolutely come with an aggro deck. And then just like that, Ravensburger was like, hey, by the way, you know how aggro kind of struggles with draw? Yeah, you got draw. And it's like, okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for that. I really appreciated you giving a very aggro deck not only the ability to play a card for free, but now an ability to go ahead and, get a card draw. Oh, by the way, here it is. Anytime that a character is, banished on my side during your turn, oh, gee, thanks. Oh, and by the way, thank you for making Tramp so difficult to actually be removed, because in case I, have a brawl or something like that, I'm not going to be able to remove it. And, Ruby's already a low enough card as it is. But this is insane. And this is something that is really interesting to keep an eye on here because, man, now, that's going to be one of the craziest things here because, of course, turn one, you can go like one of your one costs. Daisy is preferred there, of course. Then come turn two, you can do your Ursula or whatever else, maybe 2/1 drops in that case as well. Keep going wide that you would like. And then turn three, you can go ahead and play a lady and get the tramp out, the 2-cost tramp. And then after that, the next turn, you can shift the other tramp and then just quest with everything and say, okay, remove it, my dude. Good luck dealing with a 2/8 that's never going to quest. And it's like, gosh, you have a Zeus and you can also maybe do a strength on it, but even then, that's a lot of utility to take out one card. And you already got a lot of other cards to have to worry about. And so, I mean, these two cards alone have really been the pieces needed to take this deck to the very next level. Now, at the same time, with that being said, I'm worried. I'm a little bit worried about this deck combination because I feel like they're giving aggro just a little bit too much gas, and that this could really be a devastating blow here because the one thing that really has always kept aggro in check was the fact that it didn't necessarily have draw. You only had the Rapunzel, for example, and this is even almost a step above the Rapunzel in that case just because of, how difficult it can be to take out. Rapunzel, yeah, you're going to be getting the cards as soon as you play them if you have a character damage. It's very situational, and you might be drawing, 2 cards, and you might be drawing 3 cards. You might be drawing no cards and just playing a Rapunzel. And that's the nice part here is that, yeah, you're going to be having that kind of advantage there. But with Trap being here, it's going to be really tough because it's like, well, anytime an opponent goes ahead and banishes a card, cool, thank you, I'm going to just refill my hand with that. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how this all goes. And the fact of the matter that they did make it a shift as well. It would have been a little bit better maybe if they didn't have the shift there, just because, man, I really feel like this is going to be the thing that hits the ground running and makes this deck just way too fast and difficult to deal with, because the grand scale removal doesn't necessarily take place until, if anything, turn 5, playing with either a Maui, playing a Let It Go and whatnot. But even then, even a Be Prepared and stuff like that isn't going to be coming until, maybe turn 6 at the earliest, and that's if we're lucky there as well. And meanwhile, they're playing also Ursulas and things of that nature to remove all of that stuff. And so there's just a lot of utility here. I really think that Chernadogs is going to be tier 1. It's going to be absolutely crazy to see. And the fact of the matter that, Tramp is not even a rare or legendary as well for the ability that it has. And I get that, legendary, or ability doesn't get tied to rarity. That's the one thing that you remember about that. But still, he's going to be a lot more common to pull in that case, which means a lot more people can easily build these decks, and it's going to be just absolute mayhem. It's going to be a really fun deck. I'm going to be curious to see how it goes, though. It's going to be fun to see what all utility it is going to get and how many people are going to actually be able to play this deck. I mean, I think it's going to be one of the top decks of this next set. With that being said as well, this is going to be an interesting one Now, Ludwig von Drake is a very great card, but the fact of the matter is he is a very weird dual ink as well. And it's like, yeah, you're going to be maybe playing this with puppies. You're going to maybe be playing this with maybe if you do a weird aggro, amber, sapphire build kind of thing. It's a weird color combination. I get why they did it, but it's a weird one. But his ability is absolutely insane because when you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a non-character of your choice. Already right there, that's a great 2 cost. That's a bare necessities in hand. Just like that, just for playing him. Then on top of that, he's a 1/1. But even more importantly than that as well, when this character is banished, you may put this card into your inkwell face down and exerted. So he gets you to ramp. He gets you to discard a card from your opponent's hand. He gets you to even have all the information that is in your opponent's hand. The fact of the matter that he is uninkable isn't really that much of a deterrent. He is gonna be absolutely awesome. And he might even be one that, helps take puppies to that next level. Now, still, I don't know why they're so set on trying to get puppies all of this, support and things of that nature. But that's an entirely different video here. But still, this is a really good card. I almost wish that they had a better color option here in this case, but still, he is going to be absolutely awesome. And if this card really works well in this color combination kind of deck, then that's going to be something that will be just absolutely insane to go on and play with. But it'll be interesting to see just because the color combination isn't necessarily there. Now, Antonio Madrigal, really good card. The fact that you can go ahead and search in the deck after you just go ahead and sing a song. Now, he is going into also a really interesting color combination because, this deck is a really good idea of a deck, but it doesn't necessarily get going until at least turn 4. You don't necessarily have the ramp or anything like that to get things moving. And so while he is a really good card, and you're able to find pretty much anything that you want and not only put it into not just put it on top of your deck, but put it into your hand. And that's going to be really awesome as well. And there's some really other great cards that are here as well that are really going to help support this deck. And you can go ahead and find your answers that you want. So you can go ahead and play him, sing a song, go ahead and find an aerial if you want, for example. And then you can go ahead and dig again when you play her the following turn, pull out another song and then go ahead and play that song and go from there. There's a lot of insanity here with this card, and the fact that it is a 2/2 is a good stat line because it still has the ability to easily be taken out. It won't be too overpowered necessarily, but that's also kind of the tough part, is that you might not want to risk getting this character out because he very well might just be taken out very quickly and not a lot of utility. But still, at least he has the ability to activate his ability when he comes out. So it's going to be fun to see how all of that is going to play out with this deck, but this is one of the key pieces to at least making this color combination meta relevant. Now, the other two, of course, are going to be these 2 cards as well. Now, Fantastical and Magical, don't get me wrong, is going to be a great utility card. It very well is going to be going into Blurple. I could see that happening pretty easily as well. I also think Blurple is going to be one of the top decks of this next set. Now, with that being said, too, Alma is going to be just absolutely insane. I still hate her as a character. Still do. But her card is good. And that's going to be the biggest thing, too. Her ability is absolutely insane because you can go ahead and use all of your characters you want. You have 5 characters on the board. It equals 20, cost, to be able to sing together. It doesn't matter because all you have to do is sing 9 or more. It doesn't put a limit on it at all. The sky is the limit. However many characters you have on the board is the limit. And then, yeah, biggest thing with this is once during your turn, whenever one or more of your characters sing a song, you may ready those characters. So you can go ahead and sing Fantastical and Magical, and then Alma would just go in and ready them all up. You gain, however much lore, you draw however many cards, and then you just go ahead and quest with them again. So you can instantly just boop, win the game. And the cool thing is, as soon as you play her, you're able to do that ability as well. So you can really rebuild your hand and get things moving. And it's going to be really interesting to see how these cards go. But, there's a lot of sing together songs, and that can really be a big difference with this color combination. We have It Means No Worries, or one of those cards that's a sing together. It's an amber card. and it does a really good job as well and would fit well in this deck. And so we actually have a deck list video as well, so if you guys want to check that out, go ahead and see it. We talk about this deck in a little bit more depth. But still, I don't necessarily think that this is going to make the deck a meta-relevant one. It's going to be probably tier 2 just because the removal, especially in the aggro field, it's going to struggle with. Goofy. Woo! Woo! Man, one of the best cards in the set, straight up. This is going to be really interesting and one that I am excited for. Now, first off, you know this artwork. This is moments before disaster, knowing Goofy. At the same time, though, I really want those pancakes. Just going to say, Carlos, prime job drawing those pancakes. You did a great job on Goofy, don't get me wrong, but man, those look good. I'm hungry. Anyway, but with that being said, this deck on top of that is this card on top of that is a really great card. And one thing that we absolutely love here. Now, he is a groundbreaking chef, and that's probably because he's going to be taking a nasty spill here pretty soon. With that, though, at the end of your turn, you may remove up to 1 damage from each of your other characters, and ready each character you remove damage from this way. Woo! Yeah, and this also might be the thing that helps make Bolt decks meta relevant. And I could really see Goofy going hand in hand with, a Bolt deck as well, because you can go ahead and you can deal damage even directly to him with your own cards as well. There's nothing wrong with doing that to Bolt. And then with that, of course, you can go ahead and, ready all of them back up and things like that. Bolt will ready up as well when you remove the damage from him. You can attack into something and you remove a damage, and then his ability goes off. You also, which can be really crazy, have a Sven. So you go ahead and have Goofy already out onto the board. You have Bolt go ahead and quest into something. You play Sven. You go and ready him up. He gathers you a bunch of lore. You then have Bolt go ahead and attack into something, take some damage, and then Goofy will remove a damage and ready him up. You activate that ability again. There's a lot of lore that you can really gain that can make this card very meta relevant. It also can really help. We even talked about maybe putting this in Chernodogs, but I still think that this might be a little bit slow. But you have a lot of 1-costs, especially like if you have a Daisy that you're readying up and removing a damage from. That can be really helpful. Also with Tramps and the Chernobog himself, you can really go ahead and just whatever damage they remove 1, sure, fine. But then they ready back up, and it's just like, what you talking about, Willis? Oh, that just aged me. Anyway, with that being said, it's going to be a really interesting card. Now, next, of course, it's going to be Jeweled Collar. Why is Jeweled Collar one to talk about? Well, it's insane, and it really feels like it's one of the cards that, this deck combination was really missing. It says that whenever one of your characters is challenged, you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exert it. That's going to be the biggest thing. It's a May. So when you finally have enough ink, cool. Now, it's whenever one of your characters is challenged, and that's going to be the biggest thing. But still, the fact of the matter is that you have this much ramp that can really come to be. You have a lot of 1-cost, 2-cost that you can go ahead and get out onto the board. A lot of scary stuff. You go ahead and put a Cursed Merfolk out there. They very well are probably going to be challenging into that, discarding a card of their choice, of course, and then going ahead and you get to also put a card into your inkwell. On top of that, if you're going ahead and then playing a, Sail the Azurite Sea or a Tipo for that matter, you can go ahead and keep getting some absolute insane ramp going. And then even so, this would also even be a deck that I would really consider playing the 8-cost Mufasa in, just for the fact that you can really get some insane moves going and even get, going and playing a Mufasa extremely quick to just run with this. I mean, it's going to be really fun to see how this deck goes. This is the card that I really feel like can really help take this deck from being maybe a mid tier 2 all the way up to tier 1. Time will tell, of course, though. The hardest part about this is, again, it has a lot of bounce. It doesn't have a lot of removal, but it does have a lot of bounce, and then it does have bend to your will. And so that's going to be something to keep in mind, too. This can go ahead and ramp you up, and then you go ahead and bounce your opponent's cards back, sing a "You're welcome" for that matter, and then say, hey, by the way, you're welcome because you just got a little bend to my will. Ooh, that's going to be scary. It's going to be really fun to see how wide this meta can potentially get. Now, this is awesome. I was saying that Ruby Sapphire did need, in order to be meta relevant, I really felt like Ruby Sapphire needed a card draw. We got that. That's awesome. Love it. Now, at the same time with that, we got the Namaari, which will draw and discard a card. That's fine. Not a big deal there. But then also on top of that, she has the ability to go ahead and get +1 attack for each card in your discard. So if you go ahead and have a lot of cards in your discard, whew, you are going to be one scary character. And also being a 5 willpower is going to be a lot to add. Now with that too, Light the Fuse is going to be absolutely crazy because you can go ahead and, Ruby Sapphire has the potential to get a really wide board because they can be difficult to remove. So if you go ahead and attack into everything and you have a Mushu on board kind of thing and you're gaining lore, gaining lore, gaining lore, and then they have a really scary character out onto the board as well, then after you're done with all of your attacks, you can go ahead and pay 1. Just 1. It's even cheaper than Strength of a Raging Fire. And yeah, sure, it has, a little bit more of a caveat there with the fact that you're for each exerted character you have in play. So you need to take that little bit of a risk. But if you're going ahead and attacking into anything, and then you're like, oh, by the way, I lit the fuse, boom, that's going to be scary. Now, with that being said, it's going to be interesting. I still think this is a 4 of. It has to be. It's going to be very interesting to see how it goes. And there's a lot of rush that you can go ahead and play as well. So if you go ahead and play, the anything that just can go ahead and exert right away. Goofies, for example, could be a very good card. Super Goofs to go ahead and play these cards and whatnot, and then you all of a sudden can deal at least an additional damage. So if you could go ahead and attack in with something with Goofy, gain the 2 lore, then you have 2 or 3 characters already exerted, and then you light the fuse and you deal 3 more damage. Take out a Maui Half Shark, for example, if you have 5 characters exerted. That's a little bit of a stretch, but if you can go ahead and do that and stop them from even being able to attack in on you, that's going to be the biggest thing. And so it's going to be really fun to see how this deck actually gets utilized now that it's got the card draw. And are they even going to be playing something like Beyond the Horizon in this case as well? Because it's a sing together, which can be very helpful. And if you want to take the turn to try to maybe get some more card draw by, potentially singing with 2 characters is maybe all it would take to be able to get to that 7 cost. And then you can go ahead and discard your hand and draw 3 cards. And I mean, Ruby Sapphire already struggles with getting enough cards in hand. And so it's going to be really interesting to see if this card maybe gets utilized. At the same time, though, if your opponent is just popping off, Blurple, for example, they have the ability to just have 15 cards in hand and say, thank you, I'm good. You destroy my board, I'll rebuild, kind of thing. And so that's going to be the scary part here. But Beyond the Horizon can really also check them as well, because if you notice, hey, if they even have 5 cards in hand, you can say, hey, you know what? Actually, discard down to 3. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how that ends up going. And so I'm curious. I really think that this is going to be a really good card, and as an uncommon, that's going to be really fun to see as well. Now, with that, down in New Orleans is going to be an interesting one. You can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and you may reveal a character, item, or location card with cost 6 or less, and play it for free. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Now, there's a risk here with that because it is only 3 cards. That's a little scary, and that's why I don't necessarily think that this would necessarily receive as much of play as you're necessarily going to see, because only 3 cards, and they could be all 1 and 2 costs. And if you're even using your characters to go ahead and sing that song, then you're missing out on a lot right there. But if it hits, and you use 2 characters to go ahead, or even 1 character to go ahead and sing this, that's pretty awesome. And you can get a really good character out. We'll see how it does, but it has the potential to be really good. And so I'm going to be curious to see what all is going to happen with these cards. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. But anyway, guys, I think that is going to be it for the video. So what else do you think? What other cards do you believe are going to be these super powerful cards that can really shake up this meta? Now, of course, we could have gone into the blurple cards as well. We got the new, the new Elsa song that goes ahead and puts it into the Inkwell for 3. That's a really good card. And there's a couple of other cards that we could definitely discuss. But what cards do you think I missed out on talking about? Let me know down in the comments below. What card and deck do you believe is going to be in the Tier 1 when Reign of Jafar releases on May 30th? Go ahead and let me know. And until next time, guys, have a good one.